Hi, I'm Corinne, and this is Free Press Fail here with John Burnett for episode 3. So much good news today. Actually, John, as I was just before I called you, I just saw a clip of Bill Barr going around the news talking about how he's afraid that Trump is going to run again. And I don't know when he became like a MSNBC spokesperson, but the former attorney general sure has a lot to say right now, considering how quiet he was when he was actually working for us.
Well, let's be honest here, right? And very candid. Conservatives probably did not buy his book, right? So, so he has to actually say something to appeal to the left that might be interested in buying his book. Look, he's on a book tour. He's going to go back and forth, try to, in his mind, try to find some level of balance. But the question remains: if you had all this information, right? What did you do with it?
Yeah.
So he was flirting with us for years and really didn't do anything.
Yeah, it is funny. And now you see him. I haven't read his book. I'll be honest. I have no plans to buy it. So you're right. He's probably targeting the correct audience with his new lines. But he's going on about how, Trump could never win. People don't like him anymore. He's too brash, whatever. And I was like, I hate that line because that's what CNN wants to say and MSNBC. But whether or not you think Joe Biden legitimately won this election, there's no doubt, everyone says, that Trump won more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. So this line from Republicans that he isn't liked or he didn't do a good enough job to win their votes is so ridiculous. Republicans have told, there's evidence that Republicans did support his presidency and did support his job record in higher numbers in 2020 than they did in 2016. So anyone saying that just isn't paying attention to the voice of the people.
And not only did he get an uptick in terms of Republicans coming out to vote for him or mail in the ballots, he also got a huge uptick in the Asian, the Black, the Hispanic vote, which is huge, more than any Republican president or nominee for the last 50, 60 years. So that is huge. So for an attorney, right, an AG, if you will, discarding the facts. You don't even have to twist the facts. It bears out in the numbers, and it also bears out in the current frustration. Whether you talk to the person on Wall Street, right, or the person working in McDonald's, they're all saying the same thing. Why am I paying more for gas now than I did several years ago? Why am I paying more for staple items at the grocery store like milk, cereal, eggs, and various meat and poultry products? This is complete nonsense. So there's frustration across the board. And when you look at the world is in a complete and utter chaos. No one knows what's going to happen next, whether it's people trying to breach our border or what's currently going on between Russia and Ukraine or the Middle East or what China's going to do with Taiwan or North Korea. At least with Trump, we knew no one was going to make a move because the one person that actually two, the first person that made a move in terms of chemical weapons, they received 50 Moab bombs and never heard a peep out of them again. The second comes in a duo. The two people that left their country, I think they left Iraq, Soleimani, and I forget the other person's name. They were assassinated, right? So that's a clear signal that there's a new sheriff, for the globe, and everyone better act right.
Trump was pretty unpredictable, but you could predict that people would be afraid of his response, which is exactly where you want it. But I think Bill Barr's little freak out, it's just funny. The left is always ignoring the facts in favor of some like crazy rhetoric, which is exactly what's happening with Elon Musk's Twitter takeover, because finally it's official. He bought it. It's his. And now you've got MSNBC out there like, I'm worried now that Elon's in charge that he may silence people who disagree with him. Like, what if he censored those who supported the opposite party? And there's like, all of these facts are out there. Why are you ignoring them? Because that's exactly what's been happening for the last 5 years. And I think now Elon's taking over. We see like Donald Trump Jr. gains like 200,000 followers in one day because they finally like take the Twitter chains off of him. All these people are getting like 10,000 followers. I don't know why. I haven't gotten a big boost like that. I was really hopeful, but it's just
Right.
funny. You see these responses, they're just facts optional. They're just all emotional responses.
Right. And you know, they earn their name, the fake news. Why? Because they rather focus on the billionaire Elon Musk and his purchase of Twitter than focus on the billionaire Bill Gates that has patents to vaccines, who's also buying up farmland all across America. And undoubtedly, he's probably doing the same thing across the globe. He's not a farmer, right? Why does he need farmland? Then you have BlackRock, a financial firm buying up single family homes. Why are they doing this? That's more of a threat to our economy and to the working class than anything else. But yet they rather worry about, their voices being taken away. In fact, Elon Musk is a business person. The last thing he wants to do is silence either side. He wants public discourse.
The more
that's good to share information, and that's also good for business.
Yeah, well, we know that that's the real thing, is that all of these people think that they should be the gatekeepers on knowledge. And you bring up good point, like that is a problem with the farmland and with the private real estate going to these big investors, mostly Chinese investors. It's driving up market prices. It's making homes unavailable to American citizens. It's contributing to inflation. Those are all terrible things. But no, we shouldn't talk about that. And right now, until Elon bought Twitter, they really could, change the algorithm, make that come up lower on a timeline. And I think we're seeing the response is mostly fear because they have had so much control over the narrative. And,
it's control and manipulation.
Absolutely. And we see that like this week, the Department of Homeland Security announced the disinformation board, the Ministry of Truth, which could not sound more Orwellian than you try. Like we're reaching dystopian levels that like novels are like, that's a little too out of reach. No one's going to believe that's actually happening. But they are putting people in charge who we know don't actually care about the truth. They care about the narrative, and they're going to care if you're talking about the story they don't want people to hear. Right. Someone in charge is actually one of the contributors that kept saying, Hunter Biden's laptop is fake. It's Russian disinformation. It's a Trump campaign trick. So are we supposed to trust her now to be in favor of the truth when she clearly has a partisan narrative to push?
Right. And she won't even cover the truth that's going on at the border in terms of people being flown all over the country to a city near you, and they're given a phone. Like, it's crazy. The left, if you break the law at the border or break the law in our inner cities or rural areas, you're actually not only released, right? So they have catch and release, whether you're a citizen or non-citizen, and they're giving you gifts, either a MetroCard if you're in a metropolitan area, or they're giving you a plane ticket on a private jet to go anywhere. Not to go anywhere, but to go. They actually have a choice where they want to go, and if they don't have a specific place to go, the government randomly selects a state and city to send these people. And how do we know that they're not going to show up again?
Yeah, the Department of Homeland Security doesn't have anything to worry about, though. They should really be monitoring tweets because that border crisis is not a problem. Everybody that is getting in is obviously safe, even though we don't know who they are or where they came from.
And where's Pete? Where's Mayor Pete? Our transportation and gas and everything else. The whole country's falling apart, and Biden is mumbling and stumbling.
While he expands the government, that's the scariest part. They're all stumbling around. We have no idea what's going on, and they're like, "This is the time we should add more people to the mess to address problems that like are not even problems." And I know this censorship push is clear clearly coordinated. The EU just passed their censorship, the
Yes.
Digital Services Act, and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were pushing for that. But I think that they are smart enough to know it would have never passed through the House and Senate because those people are up for re-election this year. So instead, America
Absolutely.
pushes this regulatory board, which I could soapbox talk about all the time. It's an unconstitutional thing to have these executive boards of unelected bureaucrats appointed by the president who they don't have the power to make laws, but they make regulations that make people so afraid they have to obey them. So might as well be lawmakers. It's terrible. It's just skirting the Constitution completely. And we've got all of these liberals in the background cheering, like, yay, that's what we wanted, even though it takes away their power too. You know, Democrats in Congress should have that power. And they just gave it away to this board to do whatever they please with it.
Only fools don't realize that, when my father always told me, if you dig a grave for someone else, dig two, because the first one is going to be for you. And that's what we're seeing with the Democrats. They dug a grave on this free speech. They dug so many different graves, right? And now they're falling into their own grave in pits.
So
And the problem is that we're all in mourning now, right? Because we're going into a recession. Biden said it several times last month that that likely will be likely facing food shortages. They're reducing energy supply, right, by the constraints on fossil fuels. And they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to restrict free speech while at the same time, they're pushing their own disinformation. I don't know about you. When I was raised, right, and I still believe this, we only have two genders, male and female, right? Men cannot have babies.
Yeah, birthing people have
Right.
babies, so that could be anybody.
And if you say that, right, I'll probably, when you post this and share this on social media, I'm going to get a lot of hate mail. Why? They're going to say that I'm lying. This is not true. You're not respecting, look, we can have a difference of opinion and we can all still live in peace and pursue our own happiness. It's okay. It's America. We can do that.
Well, hopefully. But I think that you're definitely the first on the list at the Ministry of Truth. So be on the lookout. They're already after you.
Are you saying I'm public enemy number one? Actually, number two. Trump is public
genders.
enemy number one.
Out of all 97 genders, you gave only 2 examples. That is hate speech. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from the kind officers of the Ministry of Truth. But you're right. This is crazy. They're doing this stuff, and we are headed into a recession. And I think the media really swept over that because the report came out that expected at least a 1% GDP growth. We're in the negative, and that's never a good sign. And new polls are showing 98% of Americans think that we're headed towards a recession, which is kind of a self-fulfilling thing. If everybody believes that we're headed towards a recession, they're going to stop spending, stop investing, and then it's going to happen. But Biden just spending, it's going to get worse.
Well, look, I'm optimistic, right? However, I'm also realistic, and all the signs are pointing to a recession, and we already knew this months ago, right? Because economic policies and economic law, even though you cannot actually see it with your physical eye, it is real, and it's only a matter of time if the course is not changed. And we know that the Democrats, who have absolute power, have not changed course despite the warning signs and signals. In fact, they doubled down and went on cruise control based upon the same policies. So it's going to be a train wreck, and it's only a matter of how hard and for how long. And then what are we going to do about it? Because once we gain control in with the midterm elections, by that time that people are sworn in next January, we'll already be in a recession. So we have to figure out how severe and pre-plan. Republicans need to figure out when we gain control, yes, there'll be different people in different seats, But those that are in power, in leadership, and that have ranking should actually be gathering plans as far as what to do and how to move forward and shape the agenda.
Yeah, and it just seems like this administration has no plans to address this recession, which is going to put us in a worse place come January. And I think part of it is distraction because they don't want people to know how bad the economy is. So what are we going to talk about? We're just going to talk about Russia and Ukraine. We're giving 33 billion more to them this week, which will Americans will pay for in taxes, obviously, but in inflation immediately. And then Biden announces, he's planning on doing the student loan reform, which I think is mostly a bribe because Democrats are so unenthusiastic about Biden right now. He doesn't really have a lot going on. And he's like, but what about the loan thing? Is that do you guys like that? Or can we make some friends like that?
Right.
But it's that is like $1.6 trillion of student loan debt. I don't know how much he's planning on forgiving because every audience he tells a different number. But again, we're facing record high inflation and we're talking about spending trillions again. And that never hurts. It never hurts the very rich people. It never hurts the Bidens, the Trumps, it's going to hurt middle and lower class families who, by the way, don't usually have these loans to pay off.
Right.
Most of these people who are seeking forgiveness are middle to upper class, wealthy Americans, predominantly white liberals, actually. And they're telling other Americans they should pay for those loans. So actually, a lot of Americans that didn't even go to college themselves will end up paying for these loans.
Absolutely. As you pointed out, the working class, they're being crushed by rapid inflation caused by all the free money and the stimulus that went out. So actually forgiving loans, and it's hard for them to understand, but forgiving another $1.6 trillion, right? That is actually going to be more damning on top of the economic and financial chaos that they're already spending. But there's another key fact that should go along with that, right? So a little bit more than 2/3 of America, right, don't have a college degree or never went to college. So that $1.6 trillion is going to fall on the part of America that never went to college, never planned to go to college, but yet they're going to be assessed an equal amount of debt burden for forgiving these loans. How is that equality?
No, it's terrible, and it will be almost immediate. I think that there are a lot of people my age. I mean, I have a lot of student loan debt myself, I will say. I have a master's degree that I don't use. Don't recommend doing that, guys. It was very expensive. And I think a lot of people that I went to school with are like, well, at least if he does that, it will benefit me. I'm like, no, it won't, because we pay either you pay the check to pay your student loans, or you pay it at the pump, you pay it for groceries, you pay it in taxes. Like your dollar is worth less across the board.
Totally.
You might not have the debt on paper anymore, but all of a sudden it costs $7 at Starbucks instead of $5, and I feel like you feel it. I'd rather just pay the loan every month. You're going to pay it one way or another. Nothing is free, and
right.
It's a hard thing to tell, especially this generation. I don't think we like hearing the truth about that very much.
Then I heard, right? I don't know exactly how it works, but let's say the person that took out the loan way back when dies. That actually falls on the family, the relatives of some sort. If the person is married or their estate. So this is debt that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So people have to stop going to pay $60,000 a year for arts degree or some degree that they can't even find a well-paying job for.
Yeah. Well, and then in this economy, it's just going to compile again. Every economic policy, like you said, even the ones that are not written down, you feel them and they hit your wallet. So if the economy keeps going down like this and they forgive all this money, it's like, great, you don't have a student loan anymore, but you also don't have a job. You can't go anywhere.
It's true.
Was it fun? Was it worth it? I don't know. But I do think people get excited to hear that something is free, and that's what Biden's really hoping for, is the distraction tactic of it.
But you know what? You know who's really quiet in all of this? The colleges and universities that are charging these students $60,000 a year, which is ridiculous. It doesn't cost that much to educate each person per year.
And they have these humongous endowments. They've made so much money off of it because, you basically, not basically, totally, you get loans from the federal government only now. They threw that in Obamacare when I was in college. And they just gave all of this money to anyone who asked for it. And these colleges were like, great, they'll give them anything. I'm going to triple my tuition. Now they're making so much money. Obviously, they're not paying taxes like a corporation does. They're, well, state colleges, private colleges, I'm actually not sure how that works. I won't pretend to be an expert. But they have all of this money and they're not using it to invest. They're just using it as a slush fund for professors and honorary degrees and all of this crazy stuff. They feel no responsibility to the students. And I think it is sad. And out of all of the billionaires that liberals want to target, I don't know why they never think that the academic elite are worth some attention.
Right, and why do these liberals cry about the supply and demand economics that impact, let's say, goods or services, right? And they claim that these merchants are price gouging, right? Because they think and totally ignore the economic laws of supply and demand. But yet, when it comes to college campuses, right, that seemingly make the same amount of money, whether it's a recession or a booming economy, something's going on there, people, right? Why are they raising their tuition at an accelerated rate? And when you look at the value, the return on investment for the students aren't there. So the return on investment, or the low rate of return on investment, should give us all pause and caution to say, like, wait a second, why are you increasing your rate of tuition if the return on investment is low? There's an imbalance there.
Yeah, there should be some accountability. And for decades, they've gone without it. But there's a weird love affair with teachers and the Democrat Party. I actually saw Joe Biden was speaking with the teachers union this week, and he went in, how he gets, and he went into this rambling about, like, people think that they are the boss of their own kids, but children are all of our kids. They belong to all of us. And I was like,
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible. But we already knew they want control of our kids. Look at the agenda, right? They always scream, oh, we don't have enough resources. We don't have enough resources. But yet, something that fits their agenda, they have all the resources in the world. And in fact, they're saying we could go all the way down to kindergarten, right? K through 12. And we got money for that. We got books. We got everything. But yet, this is the land of the free, the home of capitalism, and we cannot teach our children financial literacy, financial education, to avoid debt, or at least know how to accumulate good assets that have cash flows, right? So there's something fundamentally wrong here.
I agree. And if we're going to think so collectively that these are our kids, then we should have those shared goals to prepare them for life, because we don't want to collectively share the burden of everything that could go wrong when you don't teach your kids financial literacy or civics or anything that helps them. And it's just crazy that they keep continuing down that path. It's unfortunate too. Like, I'm sure that his communications people, Biden's communications people, they have the hardest job in the world. He says the quiet part out loud way too often, and this collective idea towards education, like, these are our kids and we should be molding them. That's not what he's not listening to people right now who are actually rebelling against that idea in every state. I think from kindergarten to college, they're rebelling. We don't want our kids indoctrinated by these policies that do not prepare them for life.
But they're using the same mind control tactics for education that they used during the 2 years of COVID. Anytime people question any policy amid the pandemic, the left said, oh, we have to trust the science. We have to trust the science. Don't question the science. They're using the same tactics in education now. Oh, educators know best. Trust the educators. It is the same tactic and mind control to get people to question their own common sense and judgment and question their own values and give all that up to embrace whatever the government says. People, we've got to stop that. People are losing the understanding and definition of what freedom is, and that's scary.
Absolutely. And what science is. Because I think I had another funny story that I wanted to end on today because I like to end on a light note, and this is hilarious. The pro-science people in the United Kingdom just started a new thing where they're going to put masks on cows to defeat climate change. So I think we are kind of losing the science here a little bit into this insane path. I do think that's kind of where it all leads when we're indoctrinating children and they make the wrong priorities forever. So the cow wears a mask on his nose, and then if he burps or anything, which is methane, which they believe contributes to global warming, it captures it. So hopefully, if we just mask all of the cows, we can defeat global warming.
Look, this is crazy. The only way I want my beef wrapped is if it's in beef Wellington. That's the only way.
In a McDonald's wrapper for me will work. I don't have to have it fancy. But this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This was part of her plan at one point. Similar technology to mask these cows. And I do like it's equal opportunity. These same liberals would like Americans to be masked forever too. So mask cows, mask people, mask children.
People are nuts. They're lost.
The photos, though, I have to say, anybody who wants to laugh, please Google the cows in masks because it is hilarious. And I feel their pain because I felt similarly for the last 2 years flying with a mask on. So.
You know what? If I was Chick-fil-A, I would run with it and use it in my advertisement. With a cow with a mask on. Eat more chicken.
Seriously. It is too funny. But that's where we're headed.
It's crazy.
Crazy there. But that's all we have for this week. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Please subscribe. We'll be back next week.